My name's Aaron Bowker, and I'll spell that for you. Aaron, B as in boy, Owker. I'm the Public Affairs Liaison for Customs and Border Protection at the Buffalo Field Office, which covers the Peace Bridge here in Buffalo, New York. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us this afternoon. U.S. Customs and Border Protection is on the front line protecting our borders, our country, and our communities. CBP officers at our ports of entry are the first line of defense. Our officers are typically the first people travelers encounter upon arriving in the United States. On Friday evening, CBP officers at the Peace Bridge encountered Logan Mott, who had made a wrong turn onto the bridge. During the primary inspection, officers became aware that Mr. Mott was the subject of a warrant for grand theft auto out of Florida. Mott was taken into custody without incident. After confirming the warrant with the Neptune Beach Police Department, CBP was advised that Mr. Mott was the person of interest in a murder investigation in Jacksonville, Florida. Mott has been detained and is currently being held by the Buffalo Police Department on the grand theft auto warrant. CBP is working closely with the Buffalo Police Department and Jacksonville Sheriff's Office to further their investigation. As you know, it takes everyone, federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies working together to ensure wanted individuals are found, detained, and face justice. Now, at this time, I'm able to take a few questions, but please understand that this is an ongoing investigation, and the information I'm able to share is limited.
Was anyone else in the vehicle besides Mott?
No.
Has there been any other persons detained here in regard to this investigation?
No.
For how long was he a person of interest in Jacksonville, and what length of time did it take for him to get there all the way here?
That I'm not aware. All I'm aware of is the auto theft warrant. You'd have to check with Jacksonville Police Department on how long that's been going on.
Can you talk about that coordination, though? I'm sure you're working with JSL, you're working with BPD. Can you talk about coordinating the efforts to get this?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said, it takes that joint effort. Nobody in law enforcement can operate by themselves. So anytime you have a local warrant, this is not a federal warrant, it's a local warrant, you have to communicate not only with the people who are the originating office of that warrant. So in this case, the warrant for the grand theft auto was out of Neptune Beach, but also because they informed us of Jacksonville Sheriff's interest, you have to coordinate with them as well. And the Buffalo Police Department, being the local police department here in the city that would handle that, it also requires coordination. So a lot of coordination, but again, we're all law enforcement organizations. We work closely with Buffalo Police Department all the time. These are calls we regularly make. We regularly see active warrants like this out of other states, other municipalities, and we're used to working closely with them on things like this.
I understand he didn't have a license because I believe he's 15. How did you guys run his information to find out about that warrant?
We're CBP with the databases we have. We're able to confirm identities and such.
Was the auto he was arrested in the same one that was reported stolen in Neptune Beach?
He was driving a 2015 Dodge Dart. Is the vehicle that I have that he crossed the border in. Whether that's the vehicle in question down in Jacksonville, you'd have to refer to Jacksonville Police Department.
You're saying he crossed the border, so he actually got to the inspection?
Well, what happens is once you enter the outbound lane and you make it up onto the bridge, regardless of whether you go into Canada or not, there's border nexus. So you've made a meaningful departure at that point. Whether he didn't get into Canada, but he turned around on the bridge and came back. So the Canadian authorities never saw him. He just turned around on the bridge on his own.
Are Jacksonville officers, maybe Neptune Beach officers, are they coming here to assist that investigation?
You'd have to contact Jacksonville Police Department for that.
What would be the process to even bring or take him back to Jacksonville, Florida?
You'd have to contact Buffalo Police in Jacksonville for that, because that would be a state and local extradition. It's not something that we deal with, typically deal with at a federal level.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
How old was Mr. Mott?
15.
And is there a way that you treat juveniles compared to adults, and how was he treated specifically?
Of course. Well, we treat everybody professionally with respect. So regardless of age. But yes, juveniles do go through our juvenile processing. But as far as turning him over at that point to Buffalo Police Department, you'd have to contact them on how he's detained there.
But you initially processed him as a juvenile?
I mean, here at the port of entry, yes. But what that means is keeping him away from other adults and things like that. Okay.
Are you any interaction with him? Was he agitated? How was he when you guys detained him?
The only thing I have from the initial inspection, it was a normal inspection at the border. We encounter wrong turns all the time. Obviously he is underage, but believe it or not, that happens as well. And as far as like the actual interview itself, the primary officers conducted their interview. They were able to take him into custody. There were no other issues.
If he was able, if you're saying he wasn't trying to enter Canada, do you have any idea where he was trying to go then?
I do not.
And was there anything that you recovered from the car? Were there weapons in there? I know that's what police in Florida were afraid of, that he did have something on him.
Okay, so part of a border inspection is a border search, but because of that ongoing investigation, I can't get into the results of that search. So you will have to contact Jacksonville Police Department, who we are working with closely, if you need more information on that.
Just to clarify, his intention was not to cross the border into
I don't know what his intentions were. I just know we encountered him here.
So what's interesting about this, an average driver crossing here would not encounter U.S. Customs. You check in with Canadian Customs at the other end to be able to cross.
Unless it was part of unless we were doing an outbound inspection at the time, but yes, for the most part, that would be correct.
So the fact that this guy turned around made, alerted you guys to him. Is it simply coincidental and unique that he happened to turn around and you guys did this search on him?
It happens a lot. That people can be confused, especially if you're from out of the area, but even people from the local area that aren't used to driving right around the border. It happens a lot. People accidentally get on the bridge. So it's that initial interview by the officers that allows them to see what's going on. But in this case, they were also alerted to the active warrant.
Would Canadian Customs have that warrant information had he gone that far?
I can't speak to the systems that the Canada Border Services Agency has, but we do work very closely with them, and we're in constant communication every day on border issues. So I'm sure had they been leery of something, we would have gotten a phone call.
Have you all been able to talk to his mom at all, or his family at all?
I don't have any knowledge on that. Again, I would refer you to Jacksonville Police Department.
Do you know how old the warrant was?
I do not know.
You mentioned that wrong turns happen all the time. There's underage people without licenses. You take people into custody here often.
Yes.
We're here for a press conference, though,
Yep.
because of this connection with Jacksonville.
Sure.
Can you put this in perspective to everyday arrests? Is this anything out of the ordinary for you?
I would say yes, because it was a little fluid. But the wrong turn part, no. The active warrant, no. It's something that the officers are trained to deal with on a daily basis. But considering the distance, the time that it occurred in, which was a short window, I would say that's a little more unusual than normal, but not something that the officers on primary, the officers in secondary, our supervisors, that they're not trained to deal with. So everything was handled the way it should have been handled.
What time last night did this happen?
I want to say it was a little after 7 p.m. at night, but let me just, a little after 7 p.m. at night.
Given the nature of his alleged crime and the fact that he's been spotted in Pennsylvania, was Border Patrol put on alert that he might be approaching the border anytime?
I don't have any information on that. I haven't been made aware of anything like that, so I can't answer that really.
With the changes in the ways to actually get to the physical border, have you seen an uptick in these types of people coming across and more guns, finding more contraband since the traffic circles changed and there's construction over by the Keysbridge entrance?
I guess we've seen a little bit of a confusion with some of the motorists in getting on the bridge when they didn't mean to. I can tell you that we did have an increase in arrests and seizures at the border in fiscal year 16 compared to fiscal year 15. I don't have fiscal year 17 numbers, which just ended in September, to give you, but I can tell you last year we did see an increase in both seizures and arrests.
Do you know what's become of the vehicle he was in, where it is?
It was a 2015 Dodge Dart.
Do you know where it is now?
It's currently here.